Unofficial ballot boxes are popping up in some parts of the state. We'll explain what to do to make sure your vote is counted.
Our top story, the California GOP admitting to installing unofficial ballot drop boxes. Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
And I'm Ken Bassita, KPIX5's Katie Nielsen on what the Republicans are up to. Joins us now from an official drop box at Castro Valley's library. Katie?
Yeah, Ken. So just a few hours ago, the Secretary of State and the Attorney General held a press conference saying they've issued a cease and desist order to the GOP, telling them to remove those unofficial ballot boxes by Thursday. Now, this official box in front of the Castro Valley Library is one of 66 across the county, and election officials say it is the only one they can guarantee is secure.
In California, a criminal investigation is underway after unauthorized ballot boxes began popping up around the state. Now, we can't independently verify these images of what are being called fake drop-off boxes, but people online have been spotting them near churches and gun shops. They look virtually the same as some official boxes. The Republican Party has admitted to placing them in Los Angeles, Fresno, and Orange counties. California's Secretary of State says the boxes are illegal, but the party is refusing to remove them.
Republicans, led by their leader, Donald Trump, have been preaching voter fraud, voter suppression, mail-in voting is a problem. All these different lies and falsehoods that they're pushing in order to subvert the election. So California Republicans are allegedly trying to prove this voter fraud is real by committing it, a little bit of it themselves. So in doing so, they're placing fake ballot boxes in random drop-off locations around California, Southern California. The OC Register did an article about this. And the problem with dropping off ballot boxes all over the place for people to put their ballots in is that you're not supposed to. That's illegal. So there was a post from a Jordan Tygh. He's a regional field director for the California Republican Party, and he was encouraging people to message him, send him a message to ask him for convenient locations to drop off their ballots. So
the reports that we are hearing are disturbing. It is illegal, but more than just illegal, it is irresponsible to tamper with a citizen's vote.
The state's attorney general and the secretary of state said this afternoon in no uncertain terms the unofficial ballot boxes that popped up over the weekend in LA, Orange, and Fresno counties are illegal, especially because some of the drop boxes say they are official.
Misleading voters is wrong, regardless of who's doing it. Political parties and campaigns can engage in get out the vote efforts, but they cannot violate state law.
The California Republican Party released a statement defending the unofficial ballot boxes this afternoon, saying the Democrats' anger is overblown when state law allows organizations, volunteers, or campaign workers to collect completed ballots and drop them off at polling places or election offices. So far, no unofficial drop boxes have been found in Northern California, but local election officials say they are aware it's happening and say voters should only use official methods to return their ballots.
The biggest risk that I would be concerned about for voters is that their ballot may not be delivered to us.
In Alameda County, there are very strict procedures for collecting ballots out of the official drop boxes, like always having 2 county workers gathering the ballots, secure lock boxes that can only be opened with a special type of key, and a barcode tracking system on every bag of ballots collected.
We can track those ballots through the whole process to ensure that our voters' vote gets to us and gets counted.
There are 3 main ways you can drop off your ballot. First, put it in the mail, and then you can track it on the Secretary of State's website. Second, you can put it in any one of the official ballot boxes. You can find a list of those on the County Registrar of Voters website. And last, you can take it to any of the polling places either on or before Election Day, as long as they are open. And of course, you can find all of this information on our website, kpix.com. Live in Castro Valley, Katie Nielsen, KPIX5.
Well, the governor tweeted out a response today, quote, "Nothing reeks of desperation quite like the Republican Party organization these days, willing to lie, cheat, and threaten our democracy, all for the sake of gaining power. These unofficial drop boxes aren't just misleading, they are illegal." And don't forget that you have until October 19th to register to vote. For more information on how to do that online, you can go to kpix.com/campaign2020.
Now at 4:30, ballot box battle. Some unofficial ballot boxes have popped up in Southern California. The Republican Party admits putting them there, and just within the past half hour, the Secretary of State called these boxes illegal and wants them removed. 2 of those ballot box drop-offs were placed in Orange County.
NBC4's Vicky Vargas has more now on the investigation underway there right now.
And those boxes are taking on even more significance. According to the registrar, 80,000 ballots have been returned in this county so far, and of those, 1/4 have come from boxes like these. This is just one of the unofficial boxes seen in a tweet promoting Republican congressional candidate Michelle Steele. The GOP will not say how many they own or where they were placed. A campaign official said it was not inside her headquarters. This is what they are supposed to look like. The ballot drop boxes are emptied daily. They are placed in easily accessible and public places. These women say after hearing about the unofficial boxes, they drove to drop off their ballots in person.
It's a war against, our country. It's a war against our democracy, and whoever's doing it needs to be arrested.
In the midst of this intensely watched general election, Democrats are accusing Republicans of ballot harvesting, while GOP officials say, quote, Democrats are only opposed when someone else is doing it. According to the Orange County Registrar, giving your ballot to someone else is not illegal. By law, that person does not even have to be related to you. And there are no limits as to how many ballots they can deliver.
I'm handing to you as an individual, and I'm designating you to handle it for me. I'm not designating a box to do that for me. So that's the difference.
This Facebook post shows another unofficial ballot box outside a church in Castaic. Officials in 3 counties now looking into each of the known box locations.
Shocked. I figure somebody, whoever wants to, is going to make sure that other people's ballots don't count because they want to make sure that those are being thrown away. So it's an illegitimate voting session.
The Orange County District Attorney confirming they have launched an investigation and will have to determine if there was any criminal liability. In Santa Ana, Vicky Vargas, NBC4 News.
New information tonight on a number of unofficial ballot boxes that have been popping up around the state.
Yeah, the Attorney General's office now sending a cease and desist letter to the state Republican Party that installed the boxes. CBS 13's Adrienne Moore is tracking this. She's in the newsroom with more on the state's response. Adrienne.
Yeah, Tony and Elizabeth, these fake ballot boxes have popped up in 3 counties, Fresno, Los Angeles, and Orange counties, but none have been reported in Sacramento or Placer counties. The Secretary of State says not only are they misleading, they're also illegal. The fake boxes have been placed at political party offices, gun shops, even churches. Some are even marked with the word official on them. Today, the state GOP acknowledged they've been putting them out, but says the boxes are allowed under California's so-called ballot harvesting law. The party says they are no different than the methods used by Democrats to ensure ballots are returned. But Secretary of State Alex Padilla and Attorney General Javier Becerra disagree.
Tampering with the vote is illegal. And anyone who knowingly engages in the tampering or misuse of a vote is subject to prosecution.
Now, in the last half hour or so, Governor Newsom responded on Twitter saying, quote, nothing reeks of desperation quite like the Republican Party organization these days, willing to lie, cheat, and threaten our democracy, all for the sake of gaining power. Now, any tampering could carry a sentence of up to 4 years in prison. That's according to the Secretary of State's office. Official ballot boxes have security features on them to prevent tampering. An investigation is now underway.
With 3 weeks until Election Day, more than 7 million Americans have already cast their ballots. So far, Democrats lead Republicans in the 6 states reporting returns by party. There is a voting controversy cropping up in Southern California after a fake ballot box was called out by county officials.
Local voters in the area are now concerned about that fake ballot box and wondering what happens to the ballots already dropped inside of it. Lori Perez has more.
It was insane. I I can't imagine in what world you would think that that would be acceptable.
Shannon Katie first spotted the drop box on the pastor of Freedom Way Baptist Church's own Facebook page. You see a gray metal container with a taped sign which says official ballot drop box, and the pastor, Jerry Cook, wrote underneath, "Our church has a voting drop box in front of our complex. If you are voting early, drop your ballot on by." Katie and others alerted the LA County Registrar's Office, which responded on social media saying this is not an official vote by mail drop box and does not comply with state regulations for drop boxes. The Registrar's Office told me tonight they're trying to reach Pastor Cook and working with council to issue a cease and desist letter. Other posts on the church's website show it hosting a forum for Republican local candidates and criticizing the Black Lives Matter movement. With that in mind, some locals are, frankly, suspicious of what the church's intentions were with the box.
If you believe in your candidate, there's no reason to try to fudge with the election at all. It's an attack on democracy. It's not okay, and it pissed me off.
I mean, it was up for like 4 days before I even saw it, before it started to kind of gain traction. So I'm really worried that someone put their ballot in there and that he just saw it was for a certain candidate or saw whatever and just tore it up or throw it away.
Certainly is a concern. So we're digging deeper and asking, what should you do if you're suspicious of a ballot drop-off box? Well, officials recommend checking with your local county's registrar's office to see where the official secured boxes are located in your area. Many counties post that list online.
Scott Lucas is a co-founder of America Unfiltered, a news analysis site on American politics and foreign policy, and he thinks because of these unauthorized boxes, there's a real risk that people's votes may not be counted.
The sort of thing Donald Trump's been talking about without any evidence is that Democrats supposedly have been doing this for years. In fact, the reality is there have been less than 1,200 fraudulent ballots in 40 years across all elections. The Republicans who have put out that false charge are actually in danger of carrying out mail fraud, ballot fraud. Because let's be very clear here. These boxes, according to the California Secretary of State and the California Attorney General, are not authorized. They are not allowed under California's provision for collection of ballots, and it does mean that ballots might not be delivered properly to the true election authorities. The general thing that you hear from Republicans such as Donald Trump is to try to suppress voting, to say, look, don't bother voting with mail-in balloting because it's a fraudulent process. And then if Trump loses the election on November 3rd, to try to take legal action to say, well, mail-in balloting is not legitimate. What you have here on California, however, is that they would like Republicans in the state to win office. They have local contests to win. So not only do they say, well, we need mail-in ballots for our people, but they risk what is possible fraud to collect ballots and possibly not distribute them fairly. And it's not just happened in California, because Donald Trump, who said on the one hand, don't allow mail-in balloting, well, guess what? He told Floridians, go out and cast your mail-in ballots as soon as possible for me.
After this group got busted, you may wonder what their response was. They took to Twitter, didn't directly answer any media questions, but they took to Twitter and they said this, the California GOP. If a congregation or business or other group provides the option to do to its parishioners and associates or colleagues to drop off their ballot box in a safe location with people they trust rather than handing it over to a stranger who knocks on their door, what's wrong with that? So this has now become a position where colleagues, parishioners, associates can drop off the ballot in a safe location. Based on who? Based on what? Hey, I'm J.R. Jackson. I'm gonna go to Office Depot, buy about 25 filing cabinets, drop them off in random locations around the neighborhood, slap a sticker on it and say, hey, you can trust me. Because honestly, you know what? If I was willing to do all that, you could trust me. I would take all your ballots and move it to where it needs to go. But what makes you think you can trust me? Why? Why would you trust me? What if I go to a bunch of Republicans and say, hey, Republicans, I preach against everything of all of your elected officials do every day. I can't stand them. I hate your president. Hey, but I got these drop-off locations and I want you to put your ballots in those boxes because you can trust me. Because by the way, you could. So we're still along the same line of Donald Trumpian language where my only basis for convincing you of this is, come on, trust me. That's all they got. I don't understand how this keeps working.
Yeah, well, it's just like sheer force of will, I feel like, No, I don't really have much to add to that. That was pretty perfect.